Hey guys, Sigma here. I got a really interesting video for you guys. Um, yeah, it's about human telepathy. It's like, how would that theoretically work out, right? I'm gonna be going over a bunch of stuff actually. So if you want to learn more in depth on the stuff that I touch on, I'm gonna have a bunch of links down below. So yeah, so anyways, so to continue on, actually here. So our brain, right? It's kind of like it's our thinking center. You know what I mean? Um, and so I'd imagine, because we're on a sci-fi topic-ish here, so um, and we're just trying to like rationalize, how or why could this happen? Now because I know there's still a lot of stuff that we don't even know, and um, but yeah. Anyways, so. Like for example, imagine like we learn later on that there's like this super powerful part of the brain um, that just imagine like seeing it like on like some kind of scan just lights up like a Christmas tree. You're just like what, you know. But anyways, so inside our brain, right? We know we have like these um we have like our brain cells or like these neurons, like these nerve endings. Yeah. So we got the nerve endings, right? Um, right. Yeah. So it's like something of that sort. Yeah. And then I think the chemical signals leave the dendrites, I believe. Yeah. And they go in up here or something of that sort. And that's how they communicate with other cells, throughout the brain. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to take one of these. Yeah, we'll just pick one here and imagine we're gonna slice it. We're gonna zoom in, and what we'll find is, to nobody's surprise, an atomic structure. And before you get too excited, it's not like, oh, this is what this is what the atomic structure of a neuron looks like. I mean, we could probably figure that out, honestly. I mean, we know a lot of the chemistry and a lot of the makeup for these cells and stuff already. So it wouldn't be entirely or improbable. Yeah, it wouldn't be entirely improbable uh, for us to uh, figure out what it would actually look like. Anyways, so what's really cool, right, is that um, we can zoom in further, right? Yeah. So let's take a look at the nucleus, right? So we're gonna do this, right? And inside the nucleus, right, we have protons and neutrons, right? Well, we can go even further, right? So let's zoom in on a proton, right? So the proton, right? So the proton looks like this. It's actually realistically, I'm pretty sure it's just like a cloud of gases. You know what I mean? Um, well, actually, we'll get there. You know what I mean? Well, those will be in the videos and stuff that I already told you about the links. Yeah. So we have one down, two up quarks uh, inside the proton, right? And they're connected together with strong force, right? Um, and that's like this representation of the bond that holds them together, right? And realistically speaking, these aren't really strictly particles, but more like a cloud of gases, so to speak. You know what I mean? Again, it's more information down there. So we're gonna go a little bit. Now we're gonna build on this concept actually. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a pair of these, right? Or simply just one, right? So I'm gonna change color here. So imagine here I have a quark here and a quark here, right? This is kind of like, and these two are kind of like, and they're intertwined, right? They're connected together somehow, right? Um, and And essentially, where I'm getting at here is that this one is a quark, and this one is an antiquark, right? And the way that they're corresponded, right? So the way they're connected, in a sense, is through that string. And what we do here is what we've observed, right, is like this magnetic field. Oh, you guys can't really see that, can you? So there's like this magnetic field, right, that kind of just comes around, uh, just and as they get further apart, the field gets bigger because uh, uh, because they're connected, right? And I do believe the physicists call that quantum entanglement. So yeah, the idea here is that what we see is this magnetic field, right? And it's also a property, right, of when electrons, right? We know that when electrons move through a conductor, that's what creates a magnetic field. So um, this right here is giving off a magnetic field, right? So then that means that the brain is giving off a magnetic field. And interestingly enough, right, we can also observe another really interesting note, right, if you will, no pun intended. So I'm going to introduce another concept here is algorithms. So algorithms, if you don't already know, is a specific pattern or a set of instructions used to solve a problem, right? So and a quick example is if you have a list of numbers like 1, 2, 4, 3, and then 5, right? An algorithm will go through and say, okay, well, if I want to put these in, and if the instruction is to put them in order, right? So what we need to do is we need to go through and check and see if this number is greater than this number, right? If that's the case, then we switch them, right? So here's good, here it's not good, right? Because we're reading these two, and then we're reading these two, right? Well, okay, these two are good. What about these two? These two are not good, right? So what it does is it'll switch them, 3 and 4, and then what about these? Okay, we're good, And so and then that's the output. So that's just a really quick example. You can learn more about algorithms down below. So um, what we're um, what we're trying to say here is that each algorithm or pattern, right, could correspond, right, with like um, a specific frequency, right? Let's say a specific frequency, right? And this frequency, it has, actually, it's a wave, right? Let's just say it's a wave, right? Because if you think about it, and here's why I say it's a wave. The field will change as the pattern or the instruction that's being used changes, right? So as that happens, right, these kind of change, they shift, and that's kind of the thing that we see. So especially if you're looking at like EKGs or ECGs or actually that was partially correct. It's a EEG, electroencephalogram. So what we have here, this would actually be lambda. Um, so we have the wavelength, we have the amplitude, right? So we have the amplitude, and imagine these things as like um, you know, Um, let's say the frequency would be the instruction, and the amplitude is, let's say, a Boolean, right? Um, it'd be acting as if it'd be within a range. If it goes over, if the amplitude is up, we're like in transmit mode. If it's not, then um, then we're not transmitting, right? So that's kind of how, and the Boolean would just tell you yes, we're transmitting, or no, we're not transmitting. Anyways, so this would be kind of like a this would be kind of like the effect of what I'm talking about, like whether it's like a Boolean or not. This would be like whether or not we have a one or a zero on the output of this right here. So um, yeah, and here's where I get with this, right? So I like using that schematic symbol, like I mean uh, it just kind of helps. Well, it's just kind of slightly convenient for me being an electrical engineer. Um, but the thing here is just that part of what's happening here, like imagine, like like this is like the waves coming out, the whole, right, kind of like the radiation on your screen, and it's like, oh, fourth wall break, uh, but anyways, yeah, the point is though, um, the output of these right here, imagine like the changing of the frequency and stuff, um, would be like we're seeing a one, a zero, and a one, and a zero, and then we're thinking in binary, and and it's like a really powerful, um, machine. You know what I mean? Like it's just like some stupid, ridiculous, like OP spacecraft. You know what I mean? Like type deal thing. Um, so speaking of like super OP spaceships and stuff, um, I'm about to check out that Eve Online game. I don't know if you guys heard of that. Apparently, it's been around for a minute. Um, yeah, I'm about to check that out. Let me know if you guys um, what your recommendations are about on that game and whatnot. Um, but yeah, so and then I'll probably upload some stuff on that as well, depending on. No, I'll probably still do some stuff with that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so I think that because when I'm looking at this, okay, so I see like binary, I see frequency, and I see amplitude, right? So there's two things that I'm looking at right here. And it's basically we have FM and AM, right? And here's a big, I'm kind of speculating on it at this point, really. I mean, the whole thing was like speculation, but I mean, it's not impossible, you know what I mean, to like to come to this conclusion, Like, let's be real. Like, of course that makes sense. But like the the idea of like having FM and AM being ways of like um how to tell, you know what I mean? So like if you were able to notice or comprehend at the level, what's going on here, then you would see that like, okay, well, if you're transmitting, you know what I mean, then your amplitude is up, and then you're just like, okay, well, what's my frequency? They're transmitting something about this, and you're like, oh, they're talking about that, like, oh, okay, duh, you know, or like you would notice like, hey, they're not transmitting, you know what I mean? And then it would be interesting, and be like, hey, by the way, you're not transmitting, or yeah, you're like, you're not transmitting or whatever, like, okay, or you could be like, oh, hey, by the way, your transmitter's on, uh, that'd be pretty cool, I guess, but you know, hmm, It's interesting. I don't know. I don't know what else you could go with this. I wanted to say something on the lines of. I want to say something along the lines of like dimensions and how we think, and I think that this would be like another way for us to think. So, or like another dimension, if you will, of us thinking. Um, so that would be the way of it, you know. So yeah. So just to recap real quick on this part, like the waves that we see here is a representation of the change in the magnetic field. So yeah, just as a last note right there, that actually kind of I feel like that part kind of really ties everything together. Um, so yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. So let me know what you guys think again, and then I'll see you next time. Bye bye.